All right, hi guys. So I just wanted to do a quick video today. If I can get through it, I'm not going to do any in-depth research here, but I wanted to kind of cover an event that went on over the 4th of July from a different angle. I had known about this event for quite some time and actually forgot about it, and was reminded for a specific reason, but this demand free speech event, it's very interesting to me to watch everything ramp up again like it did in 2016. And I just, there's a couple points that I just have to make here. It's just, well, first off, let me say, with this event, they were going around and trying to pull in or recruit a bunch of different people from many different walks of life off the internet. People that typically have grassroots type bases. They're trying to pull them in, and it was under the guise of demand free speech. Yet there was no mention of anti-Semitism laws going on there, which is the real anti-free speech that's going on right now. Of course, there's no mention of that. That's the one thing that both the left and the right agree on, that you can't question Jewish supremacy and a Jewish influence in this country, Israeli influence. It's just not allowed. Both the left and the right agree on that. And I've talked to both the left and the right about this on multiple occasions. Most of the Antifa people consider themselves ethnically Jewish. Okay, first off, you can't question Israel to them, though they don't put up with it. And then also, the people on the right don't question it because they're typically Christian or Jewish. And there's that false idea that they're God's chosen people, and you can't question them no matter what. And then you point out, well, what about the Rothschilds? And they go, well, they're not Jewish. Of course they are. Of course they identify as Jewish because it's the perfect political cover, and it's something that both the left and the right agree on. But I just wanted to go through some of these this Twitter feed here. Ashton Birdie, it's people like her, or your Owen Schroyer types, or whoever. If you're a halfway attractive female, it's a different story because you're a valuable asset regardless. But at least those people made their own way. You know what I mean? Like, there's much more respect between me and, or from me to them because they made their own way. They followed the formula, and they took the initiative themselves, and they started repeating the CMP JBS. That's what I call it, talking points. So your media umbrella structure, your Infowars, your Breitbarts, your Gateway Pundits, your the list goes on. Just Kosherservative, anti-establishment, supposedly anti-establishment media. So anyway, let's just go through this, because I made the post the other day. Imagine being unwittingly handled by a bunch of Turning Point Jews who are only there because their parents have connections and money, and that's what they are. I want to point out some of the hierarchy within their movement, because you have your Owen Schroyer types or whoever that made their own way, that took the initiative themselves, despite the fact that they're just parroting the talking points within their media umbrella structure. But at least they made their own way. You have to look at the hierarchy here, where you have these Turning Point people who are going and meeting the president and meeting all the Jewish financiers, meeting Sheldon Adelson, meeting Rudy Giuliani, meeting all these people, right? Why? They haven't contributed anything. Actually, they do the opposite. They do the exact opposite. They just leech off the system, and they get everything handed to them, and they do not benefit it at all. It's laughable. So let's just go through some of these tweets over this event. We're gonna watch some videos from it. So Justine Brooke is my Jewish mini-me, and we're gonna talk about Justine. That was the girl that the Jewess that was around Ashton the entire time, handling her. All those Turning Point Jews were handling her. She's unaware. They're scooping her back up because, you know, a halfway attractive female is a valuable asset, and you don't want to lose that asset. So you scoop them up. Look, we're just friends. You know, come out to our event, Ashton. You're a speaker. You know, you've done such great work in the past. And then they'd start feeding you the talking points and giving you the connections if you need them or financing. By the way, sorry for how slow this is. I'm almost at my donation goal for a new computer. Streamlabs.com/MatthewNorth1, or my PayPal email is northmattheww@gmail.com, and that is greatly appreciated. Thank you for everybody who donated. Hopefully I've reached that goal soon, so I can get a nice desktop and we don't have to deal with this kind of stuff. But let's just start off by watching this right here. Happy Jewish birthday, Justine. Jewish birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I mean, big star David on her chest. I mean, stop. This is a girl that got everything handed to her in her life because of who mommy is and because of the money that grandpa made for them. Right? And here she is just handling Ashton Birdie. It's hilarious. And, Ashton is one of those people where I think she truly can be a free thinker if she allows herself to be. But what happens to her, if you pay attention, she starts to drift away, and then they always scoop her back up. Whenever they need that asset, they'll just work their way back in, and she falls right back in line. It's so sad to see, man. It's so sad to see. She's just a gullible goyim, It's frustrating. Happy Jewish birthday. There they are. How nice. How beautiful. Oh my goodness. America's living room, the Trump Hotel. We get to dress up and go to events and feel so important. God, I'm so jealous of that. I am so jealous of that. I mean, Milo called me a sex pot. Okay, here, this is another thing that happened at the event. The Indian guy just kicked a neo-Nazi out of our rally for hitting someone. Now, they just say that. I haven't seen any proof that the guy hit anybody. They're just saying that because otherwise they're hypocrites. And that's exactly what they are, as you'll see. They're just the perfect counterparts to the SJWs. It's just a continuation of the Leninist strategy. Of course, funded by the same lobbies, and it's always a dual citizen behind both sides. And Israel always gets what they want ultimately. That's the bigger agenda. America's a golden calf, and it's just going to be chopped up and sucked dry. And that's exactly what's going on, left or right. And you see these anti-establishment conservatives are just no different. There's just different rhetoric. It's the same tactics. It's the same. Actually, there might be more NPC behavior on the right than the left. To be honest, I've gone and talked to both sides, right? And the Trump supporters are equally as violent. I should have had that pulled up. I got it on camera, getting attacked by a Trump supporter. And it's funny because, some people would probably say, oh, you were getting in his face. But I walked up to him as he was antagonizing people on the left and calling them snowflakes and this and that, right? Just antagonizing them. So I walked up to him and asked him, what do you think about AIPAC? What do you think about Israel first? Right? All the major policy changes for Israel and maybe one for America that Trump's done, promises made, promises kept to Sheldon Adelson, to Israel, but not to America. And then he got violently angry with me, slapped my phone out of my hand, started shoving me and grabbing on me and pushing me. And it could have escalated until the police came up. And then I asked, the people around, the Trump supporters around, did you guys see that? That guy just attacked me. I just wanted to have a conversation. I didn't want to be violent. This is America. I'm just exercising my First Amendment. The police took his side, and all the supporters were like, no, I didn't see anything. Nope, I'm not going to comment on that. You guys are just as bad. Trust me. How nice. Just a nice picture. Gavin McInnes, what's he doing these days? Free speech. Okay, this is a good video. So here's an example of what went on here. So this is that angry ginger guy, and it's funny because what you'll see happening, I believe ROTC or Revenge of the Cis got invited as well. I'm pretty sure they didn't go, which was a very smart move. And then you know, people like this guy and, you know, all kinds of different people got invited to this event so these Turning Point Jews could handle them, you know, and give them the talking points and connections and financing if needed. And what you'll see is later on with this Copper Cap guy is he'll be just blatantly pro-Trump and be like, I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't have a dog in this fight, you know. I'm doing this on my own free will. Meanwhile, he was invited to these events and scooped up. And that's how they operate. So let's watch this. No. I shouldn't have done that. Oh, man. Oh, this computer just struggles. Does that not look like a nightmare to you? Is that something that you would want to be a part of? That looks like a complete nightmare. Let's all get on the bus and go to the event, guys. Oh my, I couldn't do it, man. I could not do that. Ugh. This is an interesting tweet. Just a reminder that it wasn't Charlie Kirk who put President Trump in the White House. It was people like Milo and Alex Jones, which is absolutely true. I mean, people like Charlie Kirk just maybe pulls some boomers in at the very end there. But it was, you know, organizations like Infowars that were the primer, you know, to launch the Trump movement. You know, if you paid attention to it from the beginning, they needed that anti-establishment conspiracy culture to get behind him, to market him as a legitimate candidate. As we all know, that's the furthest thing from the truth. But this came after I made that post, so that's interesting to me. I'm trying to find this Nazi guy who got kicked out. Here we go. And then I wanted to go through some of this too, because it's so ridiculous. It just shows how they're no different than the left. I mean, so they're saying this guy's undercover Antifa or something. I mean, is that true? Probably not, right? Like I said, most of the Antifa people are identify as Jewish ethnically, and they hate when you talk about Israel. That's one of the last things they want to do. I don't know if it was in here, but there's a bunch of Trump supporters that were like, he's got to go out, he's got to get food, we're going to find him, we're going to hunt him down. I mean, just complete Antifa type tactics. I guess it wasn't there. He was partying with Antifa almost immediately after we kicked him out. Is that because, you know, they're the only people that would allow him to be around? Because you guys were just like the leftists. You didn't want him to have free speech, right? You just wanted him. Nobody wants you here. You have to leave. You know, same thing. Direct quotes from Antifa. I've heard the exact same thing. You know, this anti-Semitic trash. Where's our free speech? You know, anti-Semites, quote-unquote anti-Semites, whatever that means, we don't get free speech. We're the first ones gone. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I thought this was America. In reality, it's Zog, but there's a video of this guy somewhere. He was partying with Antifa almost immediately after we kicked him out. Is that because, you know, they're the only people that would allow him to be around? Because you guys were just like the leftists. You didn't want him to have free speech. You know, this guy somewhere. Here we go. Oh my goodness. See, guys, this is why I can't do this, because this computer just doesn't work.
Not only lost our social media accounts, but have lost our livelihood. Summit, I hope they take a moment of silence or some time to really think.
First off, let's read this guy's shirt. Roger Stone did nothing wrong. Roger Stone. Okay. You know, possibly one of the most corrupt men of all time, but that's fine. The only difference is I've looked at the evidence against him and you haven't. He did nothing wrong? Okay.
Think about those of us who have sacrificed it all. Those of us who...
Like, he did nothing wrong or ever, or he did nothing wrong as far as, like, the mainstream media smokescreen that they put out. That's the difference.
Have not only lost our social media accounts, but have lost our livelihood. Those of us who are shut down by our bank.
So, regardless of how this guy's dressed, he is kind of dressed like a, you know, an Antifa person or whatever. Just the message that he was trying to get across. They were blocking his sign. They were eliminating his free speech because he didn't follow blindly along with them. Didn't follow blindly along with them. Had different opinions on things. Not allowed. Got to be an NPC. You got to fall right in line with the Israel First agenda. It's so laughable.
Accounts, those of us who literally have to travel with.
And you got Laura Loomer, the Jewess, up there speaking.
Bodyguards when we go out public because we face threats of acid attacks and terrorist threats. Terrorist threats. You know, I don't want to talk too much about my own personal situation. A lot of you know what has happened to me. But, you know, in April I filed a lawsuit against Twitter, and that's how I'm fighting back. I'm fighting back with litigation, but it costs a lot of money. And not all people can afford that. I can't even afford it, right? I had to have a crowdfund at freeloomer.com to raise a legal defense. But how we can fight back is demanding accountability from our representatives and demanding that President Trump make tech censorship and social media bias a top campaign priority. Because I'm telling you right now, you know, Milo likes to joke about how I'm always saying that I'm right, but I am, right? I am.
Oops, can't have that message. Can't have Jews own USA. So you guys get the point. Eventually they kicked him out. They said he hit somebody. Don't see any proof of that. You know, from my personal experience, Trump supporters get very violent when you disagree with them. So I would imagine that a Trump supporter started being violent with him, and he, you know, probably responded appropriately. And then they kicked him out. But, you know, as she's talking about, you know, the tech censorship and all that, we all know the tech being transferred over to Israel. This is a good video, how Israel censors the internet. We all know, all you guys know, it's really Israel that's behind the censorship. That's who's behind it. And both the left and the right, they just have the face of the left wing, you know, your progressive face up there for everybody to hate. You know, and it just forces people into the controlled opposition. It's like what Lenin said, the best way to control the opposition is to lead it ourselves. And that's what you got. You got this conservative, controlled opposition that's been around since the 1950s. You know, and we're going to talk about that, you know, in a little bit here. But let's just listen a little bit of this.
Computer's IP address. In 2010, two Israeli groups began offering community workshops on Zionist editing of Wikipedia entries with the aim of making sure that information in the online encyclopedia reflects the worldview of Zionist groups.
In conjunction with...
Okay, so I would recommend you watch that whole video. It's like Unit 9900, that whole deal. They're completely behind the censorship of the internet. And meanwhile, they're trying to pass these anti-Semitism bills. You know, don't hear anything out of the right. You know, you have this demand free speech event. Where are you talking? Where's my free speech? I can't even criticize the most powerful lobby in this country. I'm not allowed to criticize AIPAC because it's an Israeli lobby. I can't even criticize a foreign country. Is this America or is this Israel? It's so hypocritical. It's just laughable. And I don't understand how these people don't get fed up with this. You know, you have all these turning point people like Justine here, who's just, look at, here she is with Donald Trump and all these turning point Jews with her. You know, we get to meet Donald. You know, meanwhile, these people do nothing besides leech. They do absolutely nothing. Actually, they deter people away, because when you start seeing, you know, organizations like Turning Point and how they're funded, let's see. I should have this pulled up. Funded right here. Koch brothers, funded by Mark Levin. A bunch of Jews. Like I said, this isn't in-depth research. You guys can look. It's all there. It's just a bunch of Jews funding it. And they're anti-establishment, fighting the communists. Meanwhile, all the Israeli prime ministers are from the Soviet Union. Israel is literally the back door into this country. Who cares, though? Right? Because they're God's chosen people. Man, once you get those Christians under that spell, you get all those CMP type preachers up there talking about how you can't question Israel, and are you worshiping Jesus or are you worshiping the Jews? That's my question. Let's go through some of this, because it just demonstrates a hierarchy within the Trump movement. And you have those people who made their own way that actually make a difference, that actually generate support for Trump. What benefit do they get? They're not meeting with Donald Trump. They don't get the photo ops. They don't get to meet his financiers and make all these major connections for later on in their life. These people do. So here's the event: demand free speech. No mention of anti-Semitism laws. Oh, look at Justine. Oh, my goodness. She got to sing the national anthem. She's so special, guys. Look. There's always some short, fat Jew hanging out behind her. I don't know why, but... So proudly we hailed at the twilight. Oh, I'm so mad I didn't get invited. Why didn't you guys invite me? I love Israel. I'm all about Israel first, guys. I don't want to kick all the foreign lobbies out of this country. I don't want to go fight war, I want to go fight wars for Israel. I want to do all that stuff, guys. I want Sheldon Adelson to be my president again in 2020. That's what I want. Sheldon Adelson, 2020, mega. Okay, anyway, yep, she's special. She gets to sing. Oh. And I'm sure this is a joke here. Here's Ashton's handler. She doesn't even know it. Has no idea. They're just friends, guys. They're just friends. And then you got some Jew hanging out behind her. Behind both of them, excuse me. Just a menacing Jew hanging out behind them. And it's, I'm sure this is a joke to them. But is it really? Is it really a joke? Who's at the top of that hierarchy, guys? Who's at the top of the hierarchy in your movement? These people are. Never heard of them. Never heard of them in my life. But they're the ones that end up with all the connections. Nauseously pro-Israel. And then here we go. Here's a good example.
I want to hear the speakers on this side. I don't want to listen to them. I've already heard all that. Why don't you want people to hear what you guys are trying to say? You're saying you're silence all the time, and yet you won't allow a Mexican to listen to what you guys have to say. Do you not see the...
So there you go. But meanwhile, you guys do the same things that people who want to talk about Zog, who want to talk about the fact that dual citizens are always behind the left and the right, and it's always Israel that benefits. It's like Nancy Pelosi said, even if the Capitol is crumbling to the ground, we will continue our cooperation with Israel. And she was talking about Netanyahu's right-wing Likud government. That's a recent quote. Why is it that both the left and the right both agree on one thing? It's only one thing that they agree on: that Israel benefits at the West's expense. I wonder why. All you have to do is follow the money. All right, so I mean, how long have I been going here? For 24 minutes. There's so many other things I could cover here with these people, just hypocritical, pro-Israel stuff. I mean, I just recommend you guys check these people out. It's so ridiculous. So anyway, like I was saying, these people end up there with because of their parents' money and connections. So here's a fake Facebook post from her. I figured it'd be her dad, but I'm sure he's well connected too, but including seeing my mommy is a judge. Mommy is a well-connected judge. No wonder you're in the position you're in, Justine. And then her grandfather founded a business, Allied Office Supplies. So grandpa's money trickling down, and, here she is. Here she is. Never heard of her, but she's the one making all the connections. Isn't it funny how that works, guys? All you who make your own way, take the initiative yourself, you guys don't get much out of this, do you? And then Turning Point, like I said, they're funded by a bunch of Jews. Everybody should know that at this point. But Charlie Kirk also associated with the CMP. Now, I've talked about the CMP many times, and that video I recently posted from a caller, We've Read the Documents. Check out that guy's channel. He's really picking up a lot of slack when it comes to the Council for National Policy. And the reason why I harp on the John Birch Society and the Council for National Policy is if you can understand the history there, that this isn't grassroots. This is nothing new. This has been going on since the 1950s. Where you have this smoke screen in place. You have this controlled opposition in place that will never question Israel. Never question lobbies like AIPAC. Why? Because they're funded by them. So they'll talk about anti-establishment all day. They'll talk about globalists. They'll talk about communists. Meanwhile, they will not get to the root of the problem. It's so frustrating, guys. And then you have your Christians who are so easily scooped up because you cannot question God's chosen people. It is so frustrating, guys. I'm sick of it. I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of watching how fake this is and how they can just bring back Antifa. And then your seemingly logical Trump supporters. Then they can just get those two factions fighting off against each other. Right, which is, I think that's what's going on with Epstein right now, where you have connected to both Donald Trump and the Clintons, and the left's going to see what they want to see, and the right's going to see what they want to see. I mean, we'll have to see how that plays out. Cover that, and then one more thing before I finish this out here. I wanted to keep this around 30 minutes. So I mentioned ROTC got invited to that same event so they could be scooped up by Turning Point and then forever be associated with them, and they would have to fall in line because people would begin to question them at this point. So obviously I disagree with their support of Infowars, but they're mainly an entertainment show and they have really good takes on things. They break things down really good. And then Rex Jones was just recently on there. I'd watch him spike up here pretty soon. He's out about the right age now. So, here we have Gabe Hoffman, Gateway Pundit. Do you know ROTC constantly spews anti-Jewish hate? No, they're just critical thinkers. You almost can't blame them for riding that Trump wave. I thought real long and hard about it in 2016. All I had to do was read Gateway Pundit articles or Breitbart articles, and there you go. You're in the movement. You just got to keep reading those articles. Oh, man. But of course I couldn't do that because I understood Israel. And I understood people like Sheldon Adelson and the psychographics behind Trump and how fake the movement is. And then this is how I want to finish it out here. This is the type of John Birch Society, Council for National Policy propaganda you get. Listen.
Day, the 4th of July. And the real importance of the 4th of July was declaring America's independence from foreign powers. The foreign power
Israel?
we declared independence from was Great Britain.
Oh yeah, that tiny country.
There are other countries that seek foreign influence within the United States. We see this from China, and we see this from countries in the Middle East, in particular, Qatar. The Qatari influence operation.
It's so ridiculous. So they put out this blood money Qatar thing trying to counteract the Lobby documentary. If you haven't watched that, please watch that. The Lobby. Now that was funded by Al Jazeera, which gets money from Qatar. So there's, and Cernovich is in there, and then watch that recent video I posted where that caller breaks down Cernovich and Dershowitz and all their connections there. These guys are as dirty as they come. Posobiec, a Catholic Christian. I wanted to believe in him because of the pedophile things. I really wanted them to go after the pedophiles. I wanted to believe in that. But did they really? They'll talk about Epstein all day. Meanwhile, their god, Donald Trump, is connected to him. But real networks, that spread through Hollywood, Nickelodeon, all that stuff. Would they go after those people? Would they? I wonder if they got, real information about those groups. Would they end up going after them? Or would they just do nothing? So anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. Hopefully I'll be seeing you soon.